All right, welcome to this video. My name is Taylor Bantude and we are in my computer for this week's video. Now, what we're going to talk about is extremely important. I'm going to show you our agency's performance dashboard, the Better AMS performance dashboard, why it is the most epic and legendary sheet, and how it allows me to keep a very close pulse on the performance of our agency and the performance of our account executives and everything involved, mostly from a financial perspective, but also from how many clients we've signed, how many clients we've lost. Very interesting. So this sheet was shown in the last video I released, and the video you're going to be watching now isn't any different from the previous video, but the previous video I showed it in the last 2 or 3 minutes, so most people didn't see it, but a lot of people told me, hey, this was a great video. I love the sheet, so I figured I'm going to just release the video with the sheet, and that'll be a good video where everybody can just look at the sheet. So why is it so important? Because it allows you to track your revenue, the invoices that you've paid, the invoices that are not paid, the invoices that have been waived, because sometimes you'll waive an invoice, the percentage of invoices that have been paid, the cash collected, basically everything you're looking at. And it also tracks really important stuff. The stuff I just mentioned were probably pretty basic, but the more important stuff is basically the amount of clients signed per account executive, your lifetime value, and the retention, the months retained across each account. So every single one of our clients is in this sheet, okay? And we track it from the moment we sign them, and this sheet adds it up. Every single day that goes by, the numbers go up for how many months we've retained a client. It also tells us basically the total amount of revenue that's being managed per account executive. So it gives us a high-level view on, okay, this account executive is managing $30,000 a month. This one's managing $20,000 a month. We need to get this one more clients or increase the retainers or something to get them up to that level where we want to be with our profit margin percentage per account executive. So I'm going to let the video play. It's the same video from last week's. Enjoy. And if you have any questions on the sheet, feel free to comment below. With that being said, thanks for checking this out, and I hope you find a lot of value. All right, we are back in my laptop. So what you're seeing here is the Better AMS performance dashboard. Now, this is basically the dashboard that we use for our agency to be able to track all the numbers related to our financials and the invoices that we send to each client, how much revenue one account executive is managing compared to the other, how much we're paying those account executives, what their commissions are, how many clients they've signed, how many clients they've lost, how many clients we've given them directly from the agency, and what percentage of our billings came through wire transfers versus credit card. Literally, you're seeing everything here. The amount of cash that gets held in reserve, because there's a 10% or 5% 6-month rolling reserve that our merchant account in Panama charges us for basically any processed payments through credit card. And then we know that, hey, for the month of December so far, 5% of the billings have gone through. 5% of the total invoiced amounts have been paid, and the total amount of invoices that have been waived. So the actual amount that we've waived this month, because sometimes we have clients where performance isn't that great and we'll waive half the retainer, or maybe we'll keep a bit of the retainer. But anyways, the purpose of this dashboard is really to get an understanding of how much cash have we received this month, how much is still outstanding, and also basically, what is the overall performance of each account executive in our agency. So it gives an entire snapshot of the health and the pulse of our agency very quickly, and it allows me to know instantly which clients are late to pay, which clients have paid very quickly. You'll see here this average ARD. It hasn't quite calculated yet because it only calculates once all the clients have paid. But essentially what this average ARD is it tells you the average account receivable days. So basically how many days it took for on average for all of our clients to pay. Okay, so it's basically simple. It's just, if one client pays on the 5th, one on the 10th, one on the 13th, one 5 days late, one 10 days late, one 13 days, whatever. It'll calculate the average amount of days it took for all the clients to pay. We also see that it tells us how many clients we've signed, how many clients we've lost, our total amount of clients. Right now we're at about 29 clients. I think it should be 30. And our average retainer as well. Now the average retainer should be a weighted average, but it's not. So it's basically just a basic normal average. And then what we have is, like I said that earlier, paid percentage CC, paid percentage wire, or total amount of wire. Now, this is really important as well. This is one of our account executives. It's blurred out a little bit, but basically this is her total salary here, or total commission that we've paid out so far for this month, or the total amount that we owe her. This is the total amount that we've paid her. This is the total amount that we haven't paid. And you can see it's 0 and 0, and that's because it's the beginning of the month. We do our billings on the 1st and the 3rd. But it's a really important snapshot because it tells me how much cash we've received this month and how many new clients each account executive has signed or lost. And that is basically just an amazing thing to be able to see, because then you can kind of see and gauge the performance of each account executive. Now, what happens here is at the end of the year, I can be able to know how many clients each account executive signed, how many clients each account executive lost, and be able to know the margin on each account executive. Now, it's not an exact profit margin percentage because we're not per account, but we can know per all the accounts that they manage month to month, basically what their margin is, not factoring in, my salary or other expenses, but just the expenses associated with them managing the client account and successfully retaining them. So it's a great doc. And let me scroll down here a bit, and you'll also see that this is basically a different person, a different account executive in our agency that is managing also a lot of clients here. So a lot of this is going to be blurred out, but this doc, this sheet contains a lot of great information. So it contains the start date that we started working on the account. It contains whether we're billing them beginning of month or end of month. Now, again, if you watched my previous YouTube video, you'll know that there's BOM and EOM, and sometimes you have a hybrid where you're billing them up front and also a percentage of ad revenue or ad spend at the end of the month. So it's kind of a hybrid positive cash flow model with a little bit of fee on the end of month as well. And then you have the billing day. So everybody's either on the 1st or the 3rd. Payment contingencies are really important because sometimes we'll set performance targets that will impact how we bill our clients. And so you'll see that this particular client that we're looking at, the monthly management and optimization fee will be 6% of AMS ad revenue when the ACoS, this is like your ROAS basically, is less than 30%. And if it's between 30 to 35, our ad rev percentage will be 4%, etc. So there's basically thresholds, profit thresholds, that if we have this extremely profitable account, then hey, we get 6%. If it's between 30 to 45% profitability levels, we get 4%. If it's above 45%, that's terrible. We need to talk to the client and figure out what's going on, what's wrong basically. So these cells here basically tell us, when we sign a client, if it's their first month, we put yes in here, and that is basically what tells the indicator, the KPI overall performance dashboard that, hey, this is a new client. So there's a bunch of sheets that are interconnected here and cells that are interconnected. Then this is these 4 cells is what allows us to calculate the prorated fee. Because again, if you're going to use this 1st and 3rd of the month billing model, which really simplifies AR, you really need to bill on prorates, because if you're billing up front or you're billing end of month, again, to bill month to month, exactly month to month, it means that when you first start out with the client, that first month, unless you started on the 1st of the month, it's going to be a prorate, right? To prorate the month, basically. And then we have ASC or ISC. Now, this is something that we do internally in our agency. Basically, ASC stands for agency signed client. So if us as an agency, we bring in a client through our own lead gen methods, then great, that's an agency signed client. ISC stands for independently signed client, which is basically where if an account executive does his or her own lead gen methods and independently signs a client through their own lead gen efforts, then we track that as an ISC. The reason being is because we pay a higher commission to our account executives for the clients that they bring into the agency in-house themselves. And it's almost like they're building an agency within our agency. And that's why we kind of have that incentivization for them to sign their own clients. Now, that adds a lot of complexity. That one little thing, ASC, ISC, and we've been operating on this model for a few months now, and we're planning on maybe simplifying it and just having an overall structure where it's, hey, you just get commission on every account that you sign, but it starts off at a lower rate. We're planning on doing that to see how this pans out at scale, but so far it's been okay. Months retained, so you know how many months each client is retained. One of the things I see very few agencies doing is tracking the total amount of months that the client has been retained. Why is this important? Because you need to know what your LTV is. What is your LTV in an agency? It is how long you retain a client on average. So this dashboard, it goes month to month, okay, right? So you have October, November, December here in the bottom, and then you have a dashboard. I won't click on the dashboard because I don't want to blur a ton of stuff out, but it goes month to month, and it allows us to basically at the end of the year or at the end of the quarter see how our average retainer increases or decreases, see how our retention rates and lifetime value has increased or decreased, and identify basically a whole different range of things. So really, this thing is not really a P&L sheet. It's a performance dashboard because it does so much more than just tracking your total cash or your total revenue. It also has the total commission percentage that the account executive is getting on the specific account, the date that they fully took over the account, because sometimes what you have is you have an account that's managed by one account executive that gets passed down to another account executive, and so that's what this cell here is for: the date we lost the client, the name of the account, the company name, the billing address, company address. This is all for the invoices, invoice purposes basically. And then we have the billing client's email, the description of the service. This here is just client billing information for the invoice, payment type, and let me scroll over here. I'm probably going to blur this out. And then we have a whole lot more stuff here. We basically have the setup fee if we charge them, setup fee, and ad rev retainer if we're charging them on ad rev. Account ad rev is basically how much revenue we drove for that specific account. This sheet tracks pretty much everything, and it's very important to basically track the health of our agency. So I recommend you use something like this. Am I going to share this right now? No, because I don't think it would be the best thing for me to share right now, just because I think that there's still a lot of work that can be done and I can still simplify. Now, it took me like a week to build this thing, but you can build your own model by basically looking at this and identifying, okay, hey, I want this, I want that, and I don't want any of that other stuff, because some of this may not apply to you. So I really recommend you build a dashboard like this. And what it allows you to do, this ties into the whiteboard, by the way, because it's technically, this gives us a pulse on cash, and also it gives us a pulse on accrual, because we can instantly see, how much has been invoiced, and also, how many, what percentage we've been paid for the month. It's an amazing thing, an amazing feeling to know that, within 7 days of the month, we've been paid 50% all invoices, or 70%, or whatever. And it's just like, at the end of the month, I can have peace of mind knowing by just logging to this sheet in 10 seconds and seeing that, okay, we have been paid 100% of all invoices that were sent out last month in November. And then, every single month, basically, at the end of the month, I'm looking at this sheet carefully to make sure everything's paid, etc. So it saves a ton of time for invoicing. It saves a ton of time for managing a shitload of clients. It saves a ton of time for understanding the performance of your account executives. It is a phenomenal sheet. I recommend you build something out like this. So this was part 2 of the YouTube video. Normally I end these videos off on the whiteboard, but for now I'm on my laptop. So if you enjoyed this video, if you found some value in it, hit that subscribe button below. And I hope you found some value in this piece. I post a video once every week. If you want help potentially scaling or automating your agency, again, you can hit up the description and you can check out my website. But right now I'm actually probably super busy. It's Q4, it's insane. So I probably can't help many people until like January-ish. But with that being said, hope you found some value. I'll see you next week on Monday. Thanks for watching this. Ciao.